Mm. So much better on my phone.
What's... Ah, there we go. What's in the glass? There we go. What's in the glass? What's in the glass? Go live with what's in the glass. Go. Waiting for what's in the glass. Is that better? Are we there? I think that was Richie's phone, so we swapped to my phone.
Sorry, my phone's terrible.
It isn't, because I could see you, but I couldn't hear anything anymore. Which is
That was exactly the same. We could see you, and we were like, "What's he saying?"
Wow. Well,
Blame
because
local infrastructure. Actually, don't. Just blame Richie's broken ass phone.
I mean to buy a new phone for months. I haven't got around to it.
So
Think
we've got
about-
a different angle at least.
that's good. Well, you know, we have 2 laptops, at least 2 phones. Maybe there is another one as well in here. So then I'm gonna connect.
We've got backups. That's the main thing.
Cool, that's good. And the one before, I'm pretty sure you also like probably saved it. So what I can do as well is like merge both videos later on and have it, you know.
Well done. Yeah. Good
No.
luck.
I've just saved it onto Instagram TV, I think, whatever that means. I'm an Instagram noob, I've not got a clue what's going on right now. So.
I hope I don't need to do this for too long because people can move again and meeting each other and stuff. But it's good to know what's going on, you know, right? Just and yeah, we were thinking about, like, we were talking about crazy, you know, juice, because that's how the people call it this, right? Like the fact that also you have a large, you know, price to pay, the drink fresh from the can sometimes as well. It almost like creates a completely brand new ritual, you know, within, you know, a subculture already exists, like craft beer is almost feel like it's a subculture within the subculture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but one that's weirdly almost become bigger than the culture it started from. It's almost become this huge culture of its own. It's a phenomenon, really, at the end of the day. You know, it's still going strong. Everyone thought it was going to be a flash in the pan, but here we are, what, 3 years on, and it's just growing stronger and stronger.
And you've even had like little like pockets of stuff, haven't you? What you had the Brut IPA kind of that came and went so quickly as well, didn't you? Things like that. But yeah, juice just seems to keep going and going and going, doesn't it? It kind of just sucks people into it. And
I think it's probably. Sorry, Gabs, what were you going to say?
I just say I can't explain it. Why is that? Why, in your opinion?
I think it's the easy drinking nature of the beer, you know, and at the moment as well, you're getting new hops being brought to market too, which create very unique flavours. Look at this year, 2020 was the year of Sabro, isn't it? You know, everyone's going crazy because they love or hate Sabro. There's always a new equation to bring into it, a new flavour to bring into it that changes the overall profile of a beer.
And let's face it, it's one of those styles that really does allow things like hops, and the one thing that kind of really does either elevate or effectively sink a beer into oblivion, it allows that to be so versatile. As much as anything, you can create a really, really basic malt base, and then you can just let the hop aroma and things like that and the bitterness and the juice level just kind of shine completely through. So I suppose from that point of view, it does kind of give, regardless of how good you are at doing it, it kind of does give you the opportunity to, invent something kind of new and do something relatively unique. You know, I mean, you can take the same double IPA with the same hops from about 30 or 40 different breweries and guarantee that they'll all taste completely different. Yep. Full stop. That's one of the amazing things about beer, isn't it? But IPAs probably more so, and particularly those kind of juicy and hazy IPAs has a bigger impact, I think, doesn't it?
But it's having that kind of detrimental impact on, I think, something we talked about at the beginning about core beers, because they're being kind of waylaid in this chase for that ever new flavour profile you can get. The only beer I can think of that has withstood these 2 or 3 years of hop craziness is Steady Rolling Man. I can't think of another beer that's managed to be consistently produced and maintained and be brought over that entire period other than Steady Rolling Man. That kind of defines that whole generation of beers, really, and is still the standard bearer. but everyone else has probably got the same base recipe they're working from, just making minor tweaks and calling it different names all the time. So, and I mean, I've tried Steady Roller Man quite regularly over the last few years. I swear it's changed like over the years, which is great because they're like trying to achieve that perfect flavour profile. But it has almost meant the death of that core beer because people want new all the time, and same again isn't quite cool enough anymore.
Same again with slight tweaks.
There were some issues then. This guy, really massively into beer in the US, report as a collection of, I would say, bad comments around this new wave of beers. And he was saying drinkability is getting lower and lower because these beers are becoming sometimes harsh, even if they're really low in ABV, but because these massive hop burn, right? Like kind
Yeah.
of, how would you describe it? And why is that?
I think that kind of almost single-minded chase to get beer out almost as soon as it comes out the fermenters is it's a bit disconcerting. I mean, like, I don't want to denigrate any other brewery across any other country, but if you're aiming to release something that isn't quite at its best and needs a bit longer, then you're kind of doing something wrong, really. If the thing at the front of your mind isn't, will my drinkers, will my customers, will my fans, will the people that constantly tweet about me and Instagram me and take photos of my beer, if the first thing isn't their immediate enjoyment of that beer, then it's almost like, well, what, like, how is that sustainable? How's that going to continue? How are you going to continue to maintain any sort of loyalty and brand recognition? I think we try. I don't think we've ever really we may have released a beer before it's at its best condition, but it's never been to the point of which we've never released a beer that we're unhappy with when it goes out the door.
The beer gets released when it's ready to drink.
Yeah.
But obviously, in the first month of a hoppy beer's life, it does change quite drastically. You know, for about kind of 10 days, you'll get a subdued aroma, and then for about 10 days, the aroma will just go off the scale and all of a sudden hit you in the face, and then everything balances out. So even though it's like an eminently drinkable beer, which is, you know, really at the best time to release it, it will then have a wave over about the course of 3 weeks where aroma and flavour will kind of battle each other and it will kind of balance out. Happens with every hoppy
And
beer.
we've done it the same thing with beer over the tap house as well. As we may have had a beer that we've had for a batch of beer that we may still have a couple of kegs of like 2 months later, and you put it on and it hits that kind of peak a little bit again. It may not be quite the same peak, and it's a bit of like, you're not getting quite the same return on it over that kind of period, but you're still getting, like, it may have been down again, but it comes back up, and it goes through those kind of waves, doesn't it?
I think with the article in question, Gabs, like, I think for me, like, I have a couple of kind of issues with the article in a way, like, just from my own personal point of view. Like, I mean, I don't know the situation in America. Like, I understand it's a very heavily hop-focused market and a very competitive market with a lot of breweries churning out very similar beers. So I can understand why it's probably becoming a problem. And also, whereas if you went back a few years, you were talking about the IBU arms race. Now you seem to be talking about the dry hopping arms race. Oh my God, I put 35 grams a litre in this. Oh my God, I put 42 grams a litre in this. And I mean, we did an experiment a few years ago with a beer, didn't we? And put something like, was it 35, 40 grams a litre of dry hops in? It was literally undrinkable. It was disgusting. We had to just pour it down the drain. It was only a little kind of 30-litre batch, but we thought, we'll see what it's like if, like, we do these crazy levels that everyone's talking about. Utterly undrinkable. So I understand where people are coming from that point of view, that if people are trying to outdo each other in how many hops they can stuff into a beer, then that article made perfect sense to me, because I can understand why it would be undrinkable, why it would be vegetable. Why it would be a difficult beer to drink. And I can understand why in such a crowded, competitive marketplace, people would be throwing out beer before it's ready, in terms of for release and things like that. So I get that.
especially as kind of cash flow and kind of movement of everything is so tight in that kind of a market as well.
I mean, the second point for me really is I don't chase like new releases of beer. Like, you know, I don't, I'm a brewer, I don't have any money anyway, so I can't go out and buy all these kind of new beers that come out all the time. I try beers as and when I can see them. You know, when there used to be bars to go and drink in, I'd try X new beer by X new brewery just to see what it was like. And I've not personally come across that problem in terms of people throwing out beer that isn't ready or that is substandard or anything like that. So I haven't seen it as a problem in the UK, but then I obviously keep up to date with the forums and everyone's saying this new Verdant isn't ready yet and I'm going to give it 2 weeks in the fridge and that kind of thing. So maybe it is happening. I just don't know because I'm not chasing those beers all the time and drinking them super
When we do
fresh,
eventually get hold of them, it is like 3-4 weeks down the line, isn't it?
So
if there's any left.
It's probably the perfect time to be drinking that kind of thing. But I mean, we don't tend to go above kind of 18, 20 grams a litre on any of our dry hopping because personally for me, I want it to be drinkable from day one and I want it to be great for 2 to 3 months and it will all have gone by then. So, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. I don't see the point in excessively dry hopping a beer just for the hell of saying I've excessively dry hopped a beer. It makes no sense. It's not a selling point if the end user doesn't enjoy it. So,
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's the thing. Dry hop New England double IPA. If someone into beer goes by mistake into a, you know, like checking a can and be like, what's there? I mean, what's going on? Then open it up, serve it in a glass, and it's just pouring like mango ice. It'll be like, you know, that's why I'm trying to understand why globally, because we're not even just talking about UK and America. I notice Italy, Spain, Norway, Portugal. There are mad people for that kind of stuff everywhere right now, and
But
they
I think that results from chasing that what they're doing in America. I mean, let's face it. For a number of years now, America has been kind of leading that charge, and I think it's a case of it's. As Richie said, there's a lot of breweries churning out lots of the same things, and it's a really, really tough market. Even though it's such a big country, you're stepping on people's toes left, right, and centre doing those. Compared to like the UK as an example, and certainly compared to probably other locations across Europe and things. And I think that's ultimately it. They're chasing a dream probably, and I think you only. The thing that I wonder is what the percentage of people that actually respond to that sort of production actually is compared to how big the market is. Because you're chasing like sub 10% of the market, then that's the thing that really concerns me for people. It feels like a complete flash in the pan if that's the way.
But that's the interesting flip though, isn't it? Is the consumer, say they've got into beer through drinking what maybe to a more kind of widely drank person's palate or something like that, it is a badly made beer. If they've got into beer through that, they don't know any better. That's the taste they like. So, you know, it's fine for that market. It's just not for someone maybe who's been around beer a lot longer, knows what flaws to look out for in a beer, or even maybe we should stop thinking of them as flaws. Maybe they are characteristics of that style. You know, maybe the New England IPA becomes a badly made style full of vegetal hop matter and disgusting onion tastes. Who knows? You know, it's all about what people want to drink. If they're buying it and they are enjoying it, then it's hard
Who's to take that away from them?
It's hard to argue with that at the end of the day. You know, the consumer likes it, so is the brewery in the wrong? No, because they're putting out something that someone's enjoying. So we can sit here and say, oh, we don't like it, but it does make us sound a bit high and mighty and a bit snobbish about it all, doesn't it, really?
You know, I put up like a very crazy conspiracy theory a couple of days ago with a guest. I was thinking maybe there is this interest around hoppy beer because, you know, weed is getting globally legalized. So all of these crazy, you know, flavors and aroma into the beers then actually are remarkably similar to marijuana, characteristics. It wants to almost create a new generation of drinkers. They are literally sedated by, you know, stuff.
Yeah.
They all took pictures with their phone in their hand about all of these things. jumping into a bottle shop, buying very expensive cans, stay at home, one very much on the phone, no chat, no talk, no socializing, kill the beer vibe, kill the other vibe, just being almost like robots.
Who knows?
Yeah, it could be an interesting subculture, couldn't it, really, at the end of the day? Something that's
Subculture.
very different to, I think, what most people appreciate about beer culture. But again, who's to judge? It's not our kind of subculture, so
Good point.
it's hard to sneer or look down on it. It's just something that we don't particularly enjoy. But, you know, that's the thing at the end of the day. For us, I mean, for hobby beers, well, for any beers we make, it's about drinkability, and it's about kind of, would you want to drink it again at the end of the day? You know, if someone has one of our beers and they say, I never want to drink it again, that's more important to me than whether they liked it or not. It's like, do you want to have another? You know, that's the important thing, is drinkability. And for me,
remember what you have, that's not going to happen again, because you don't remember what you just had.
Yeah.
yeah,
Have 2 or 3 and then forget about it, and then come back to it a year later.
it's not the untapped rating you're chasing. It's the person that comes down to your bar and is disappointed when that beer they love isn't on anymore, you know, because they love to come down and drink a few pints of it every week. You know, that's the real kind of achievement as a brewery, is having that drinkability, and the people that keep coming back and wanting the same beer.
The amount of people that do come backwards and forwards to the tap house, and they come week in, week out, not because they like the tap house necessarily, but because they like that one beer or something. I mean, so many people will come in and it's like that you can see them and they're scouring it, and you know you saw them last week or you saw them the week before or something like that, and it's like they're scouring for the exact same beer. And
they become known as Ghost Town Gal or Cinequanon Guy, or it's Kazandu, you know. Yeah. Until you know their name, obviously, which you do know eventually.
Yeah, it takes a few visits though. Yeah.
Most of the time, when I ask this question, I've always been very London lead in the answer, because you know I managed to have a lots of chat with London-based people, but from your point of view, guys, so different experience, different place, and different, you know, approach, generally speaking. Considering that today I received the news that one very iconic bottle shop in London, today is his last day of operation, and about breweries, I'm not sure yet who's gonna stay. There are a few that are not gonna look like they used to look in the next weeks, and pubs wise, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Before we said, like, with this almost like you know, insight, what is the general future of British craft? Let's say not even craft, British pubs, breweries, and beer in general. What do you think?
Simple.
I think the first answer obviously is small pack, direct to consumer. I think it's a segment of the market that a few breweries had excelled in, making a big part of their business model, and that everyone else is trying to play catch up on, because that's all of a sudden become a very important kind of revenue stream for a brewery. So if you haven't got your own web store, your own small pack, like a decent range that's well stocked and always available, of cans or mini kegs or anything like that, I think you're going to struggle in the near future. I was chatting to actually the guy from eCask came around today, and he was saying how he feels like cask is going to become a premium product now, whereas keg was premium, cask was kind of, you know, throw shit out for whatever pound a barrel you can get it for kind of thing. He's of the opinion that it might actually flip around now, and because breweries will be very reticent to put beer into cask now, that might actually regain some of its former kind of luster and allure. So cask might become the £5 a pint, and keg might become the £3.50 a pint. So I think that was an interesting take that I hadn't actually heard yet, and it made sense when he was saying it. It was like, actually, yeah, that does make sense, because keg has the life to kind of withstand, you know, a second wave, you know, another lockdown, things like that. People are going to focus on keg more than cask. No one wants to be sat on like 200 casks when a lockdown happens, that kind of thing. So I think brewers will be very unsure about putting beer into cask again. I mean, I'm not going to put beer in a cask probably again this year, you know, because I just don't trust that something like this couldn't happen again for the next, well, God, it could be 2 years, I don't know, you know, who knows, until we're in a kind of place where it's safe for everyone to go out again. So I think for me, like the biggest loser for ourselves is not really going to be able to do cask beer anymore, but we can focus more on actually getting beer straight to the consumer ourselves, because it's something we've never really focused on, but we've actually found in terms of having that direct relationship with people and getting that direct feedback from everyone, whilst it comes with its banes and its trials, doesn't it? Of the endless questions constantly all the time.
Yeah, one or two.
It is actually a much kind of nicer and a much more immediate way to deal with people. So I think the industry is going to have to focus on the end consumer a lot more and have that relationship a lot more clearly defined. You're going to have to be in touch with your direct consumers a lot more than you were before. I don't think you can sit in a brewery happily churning out kegs and casks
Expect it to
and
go.
never seeing a customer like ever, never having to talk to anyone or anything like that. You're going to have to be a vocal, social kind of person in order to get on in this new world, I think. I see Keg. I think Keg will endure. I don't see there's a problem with Keg, really. They have a good life. One thing I'm hoping is that it will actually be almost not the end of, but the end of the fascination with hoppy beer. I'm hoping it will result in that, so that other styles will get a chance, because we're going to have a better shelf life on beer. And if we're all chasing this, goal of like hoppy, hazy loveliness every day of our lives, and then lockdown hits again, then that's another load of beer that goes down the drain. So I'm hoping it will almost force drinkers to refocus and widen their palate a little bit and try different styles. So really, really fingers crossed, hoping that happens, because it could do with a little bit of rebalancing in the industry. But yeah, it's a hard one to say. At the end of the day, the consumer's going to decide what they want. I think it's going to be much more of a shift to a drink-at-home culture. I think it's going to be a premium to drinking bars in terms of price, and it's going to be mainly keg-led, and I see cask suffering massively from this.
Chris, what about pubs?
What about pubs? Well, for a start, I mean, because obviously we run our own tap house, it's an unknown at the moment, isn't it? Because nobody knows what kind of restrictions we're going to need to put on. It's going to be difficult. Well, I think the same applies to pubs, really, as much as anything. Is that there's so many pubs and so many bars have spent their whole life effectively just doing what they want to do, and kind of tough. This is the beer that I want to put on. That's what I'm going to sell. And I think it's the same sort of thing. You're just going to have to listen to people more, because no longer can you kind of buy in the same stuff you always buy in and assume it's just going to disappear and it's going to sell, because you're just not going to have the same throughput in. You're going to have to be way more discerning on what you actually stock on your bar. I hope, and I suppose this is the kind of the flip side to breweries having a more direct customer route, is that I hope that kind of doesn't negatively impact people like pubs and bars and bottle shops, probably more so than anything. I mean, I suppose the other side of it is it depends on pricing and stuff like that as well. I mean, buying from source, you could easily undercut a lot of your trade customers, but that's not going to be good for the industry either. I wouldn't even like to guess where it's going with pubs and bottle shops. I think, to be fair though, that said, small pack has kind of won through a little bit over the past 10 weeks or so, and we've actually had more orders from bottle shops and things like that than we've had orders from bottle shops, let's put it that way, and we haven't had orders obviously from pubs and bars. So I think
they just released the stats today. Small packs up 90% in the last 2 months in sales. Obviously,
I mean that's 0%.
That can't obviously impact the detriment of 100% of keg and cask going.
Yeah.
But to have a 90% jump in 2 months is quite ridiculous, really.
We had to let the people know that beer exists in different forms.
Yeah.
People with different approach. So in Italy, for the first time, we will have craft breweries in the essential term of craft in their great distribution. So supermarkets and things like that. In incredible battle, but it seems to work. So maybe more craft in Tesco.
I mean that's happened, hasn't it, as well? I mean, Tesco started last year with getting a lot more craft on their shelves and things, and it seems like the past 5 or 6 weeks, Morrison's, Sainsbury's even, Waitrose, Marks and Spencers, they've all kind of jumped onto that as well. I mean, it's good from a consumer point of view. You've got access to a lot more choice and at a reasonable price point, I guess, as well. That's always a good thing to get more people interested. I wonder how many people still walk straight past it and buy the crate of Carlin or Carlsberg that they would normally buy. But yeah, obviously, and a lot more breweries kind of jumped on that as well. I mean, we've seen a lot more people releasing things into supermarkets that hadn't previously. Obviously, the price just worked for them, and the production just worked enough for them to make it work. I must admit,
I've been trying a fair bit of the supermarket offerings over the last couple of months, mainly because like limited money, Hasbro, but Beer Gonzo had closed in town, so I couldn't really get access to other beer other than my own, really, other than buying online. I did buy some Pentrich, some Neon Raptor, some Green Duck, stuff like that online, but I've been mainly hitting up the local supermarkets. I've honestly been surprised at the quality. I mean, it's actually made me reassess Brewdog, because a lot of their stuff in supermarkets actually is quite good compared to a lot of the other stuff I've had. Brewdog have shone out as being much more consistent. I don't know if it's because they've been there that long, they've got the throughput and that in terms of the beer's fresher, but I've had a particular northern brewer. I've had all the stuff they've released in supermarkets in the last 2 months. It's all been dire. It's been terrible. I cannot believe it's on the shelf, kind of thing.
I know.
And then you buy Brewdog, you get much maligned by everybody. You're like, this is actually really bloody good. Yeah. I've had some Evil Twin launched in Tesco. That was fantastic. Had the Buxton Imperial Stout the other night. God, that was incredible. Yeah. I think I've reassessed a little bit the kind of supermarket thing. It's not for us. I mean, we're not big enough to service something like that. But it's a great route to market. And if a lockdown happens and supermarkets are the only places open, then, at least you can still get a decent beer there. So I've never been anti-supermarkets or anti-selling out or, anti kind of, just giving up your beer for the lowest number kind of thing. And from what I hear, a lot of the supermarket buyers aren't really like that with craft breweries. Yes, they'll drive a good price, but they won't make you sell less than cost or anything like that. I hear good things about a lot of these supermarket contracts. So it's not something I'm against. I'm just against the fact that I've had some terrible beers by a couple of breweries from the supermarkets the last couple of months. But there you go.
Yeah, there's no excuse for bad beer. Absolutely not.
There is a brewery.
Doesn't matter where you sell it from. At least if it was £3 at Tesco's, then it's only £3 as opposed to £6 from your local independent retailer. But that's the only positive really you can take from that.
Let's remember that there is a brewery from Reading that now is selling a very strong grapefruit and inspired IPA in tall can in Morrison for free.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that one. That was incredible. Yeah. I can't drink it myself because it's got bloody lactose in it. But yeah, no, I was surprised by that. I was like, whoa.
This is the thing. This is the game that is changing. That this is the interest. And Italy is desperate for kombucha. You wouldn't believe. I'm receiving calls and messages from lots of friends telling me, "Tell me where I can find London-made kombucha." I don't mind, and I saw these big distributions putting their hands on it and cider. There is a publication called Full Juice, which is now everywhere, published by Pete Brown and a handful of incredible journalists. And again, lots of people is looking behind there one more time, and I know maybe it's not gonna be the hardcore producers like Oliver ciders getting into supermarkets, but I'm expecting to see more and more than Aspo in
Yeah. I mean, a few years ago, it did seem like kombucha was going to explode in this country as well, didn't it? And it's like there's a few reasonable producers, but
we stocked it quite a lot in the tap house,
but it
kept exploding in the fridge. That was the problem. You'd be sat there serving somebody, you'd hear a pop in the fridge, and it was another kombucha bottle exploded everywhere. It was like, after a while, we were like, we've got to stop stocking this kombucha. It just keeps causing a problem all the time.
Yeah, very fun. Yeah.
Wow. But yeah. There is a lot to talk. I'm glad that we are sharing similar opinion about haziness. We are sharing similar opinion about how the market should be open and should be, progressing in which way, and always with this natural, balanced, and respectful manner, I would say. That must be the key. And normally I don't go over like 50 minutes, and if I'm gonna merge the two videos together, I don't know for how long we're gonna have. Probably it's gonna be like over an hour. And I also know then, instead of myself, you have a much busy life, family, children, and priorities. Maybe driving as well.
I'm walking home. Unless you want to give me a lift.
It's on the way home, it's fine, I don't mind. It's not a problem.
When you think, am I going to be able to come to the tap room early July, mid-July, and get a beer with you?
I hope so. I hope everybody can come to the tap room and make sure that they don't get too close to each other, but enjoy a beer. It'll be fantastic. I can't wait till pubs open. I don't even want to come to our tap room. I just want to go to a pub beer garden and be served over a bar and have a drink. It would just be the most amazing day in the world.
I'd walk into a Wetherspoons quite happily. It's not something I'd say before, but I would happily walk into one. But no, we're aiming for to be ready to receive customers by the 4th of July. That's our kind of date we're working towards. In our own minds, we're more kind of thinking around about the middle of July, maybe 17th. I think 17th, is it 17th or 18th?
Yeah.
That's the organic date we wanted to work to in terms of feeling ready for it. But we're trying to get the place ready to open by the 4th of July in case it happens. But in terms of what would feel more comfortable for us would be about the 18th of July. Purely because, I mean, there's the issue of making the beer and stuff like that, and making a few adjustments to the tap house, but we're quite well ahead in that. It is literally just a deep clean and some modifications to the toilets and some respacing the tables away. We're pretty much there, and we've got a lot of space to play with, so it's not a massive issue for us. But then it's a case of bringing staff off furlough, getting them trained up, making sure they're comfortable, running through scenarios with them as well, because it's going to be a very different world for them. And for us from day one, it's been about making sure that our staff are safe, and that's something that is going to be hard. Most of our customers are very nice people, but when people get drunk, they become very annoying people and very huggy people and very walk-aroundy people and very chatty people. And, it's kind of, how do we deal with that? And just making sure that our staff are comfortable with that, really. Because lovely people can become annoying people when they're drunk. So we've got to all be ready for that, really. And we don't really know yet whether they're going to say, oh, you can only have 3 drinks, you can only have 4 drinks, I mean, how the hell are we supposed to impose social distancing rules in a pub? We've got to go and check everyone's ID to make sure they work together, they live together and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that make no sense at the moment. So I think for me personally, we need a lot more reassurances and a lot more guidance from the government about what we should be doing. Most of it's clear and it's common sense and it's safe, but those more kind of nuanced things about who should actually be drinking together, are you leaving us to do your policing? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that's the bit that I'm very concerned about, because I don't want to have to be the social police going around every table in my bar saying, do you live together?
You will need to have that. Maybe. I hope not, but there's going to be someone, then we have that, role everywhere.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, how do you police that? And now they've rolled back this contact tracing up until September or something. It's that's not exactly making it easier, is it, for God's sake?
I'm really have an idea, and I'm telling you, this city have don't know how many billions people, and they are already drinking in front of pubs in plastic cups, all the time, all together. And I don't even want to start with parks. Don't let me start. So it's probably likely that I will come up there to, make sure the Coventry economy will run faster than spending, lots of time, lots of money over here. Because
don't worry, we'll keep you safe, Gabs. We'll keep you safe.
I've heard London pounds go further in Coventry as well. So.
Yeah, you can say that. You can really say that. And also, I had to go to check Birmingham because we've been chatting the last time that we met about the city itself, and I have to go and see Dig Brew and all the brew.
Burning Soul,
Burning
and
Soul
Gas
have just
House
joined
and
us
Hattie,
online, yeah.
and,
Oh, really?
So many good
So
brewers
many
in
great
Birmingham,
brewers.
man. There's Rock and Roll. If you go
Green-
to Stourbridge, you've got Fixed
Green
Wheel
Dog,
and Green
Fixed
Dog.
Wheel.
Oh, man. There's
Yeah.
so many over that way, seriously.
And some authentic Asian food as well, which it seems like in London it doesn't exist anymore. So please, if you can.
Well, you need Halton Turner. They are a brewery that also specialise in Korean soul fusion foods. So, yeah, they're based over by Birmingham Airport. So you need to check those out when you're here, man.
Brilliant. And I've got cider week next week, and then I take a little break from 48 episodes, and it's going to be all related to pubs, and then I will let you know when I have a better understanding of what to do, how it's going to be the project, and hopefully I can come up there and
Yeah, definitely.
do a bit of research in beer in West Midlands and Coventry.
We've said we're going to have a drink together for so long, Gabs, and it's been what, over a year since you. Oh, it's just forever.
Maybe as well.
A quarter of that was lockdown, so that's
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's acceptable.
There's going to be chances, I'm telling you, and I really, really can't thank you enough for spending this afternoon with me. It's great. Thank you very much for the time, guys.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Gabs.
This is gonna go around, be shared, and show to friends and everything. So I'm gonna download it and merge the two videos together. And I will share all the link with you as soon as I can.
Nice one. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Enjoy the rest.
Great speaking to you, man.
Good to see you, Gabs. See you soon, buddy.
Stay safe. Take care.
See you later, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.